concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, you guys? Welcome to the live streams. I know you guys love the ASMR. And I love making you listen to me slurp. Slurp. It's good to be here. It's good to be here with you tonight. I had a very busy weekend. You may have noticed I didn't stream yesterday. And Blunty reached out to me and he said, "Hey Bart," it was like 1:15. And Blunty pinged me and he said, "Hey Bardwell, you might want to make an announcement in the Discord server that you're not streaming today." And I said, "Blunty, you can go to my YouTube channel and there's a whole section in my YouTube channel which is upcoming live streams. And you can see when the next live stream is canceled. You can see that there wasn't one scheduled for today." Sorry, I can't talk. And he said, "I know it, but people are people, you know, they are how they are. Maybe make an announcement." Okay. So then Ghost Branch reached out to me and he said, today, Ghost Branch reached out to me and he said, "Hey, Bardwell, I noticed you have no stream scheduled for tonight. Is everything okay?" And so first of all, Ghost Branch is a super cool, caring person. Thank you, Ghost Branch, for caring and noticing. But no, I was going to stream and I just forgot to schedule it. So I guess I can't take the high ground of, would you guys just check the dang page of the YouTube? If there's going to be a stream, then I will schedule it. I usually do, though. Yeah. In case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Hold on. In case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. here, no, I need to go into an incognito window. So, because I'm logged in as myself. So right here on my YouTube channel, upcoming live streams is a section, and I usually schedule at least a week in advance. So if you look here and you don't see, I don't know why this guy is waiting. If you look here and you don't see a stream scheduled, then chances are good I'm not streaming that day, although not 100% usually. But anyway. You may also notice I have another stream scheduled for tonight. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. My Raid Shadow Legends stream is tonight. In case you missed me talking about it elsewhere, that, by the way, this is not that stream. I wouldn't do that to you, probably mostly. This is a normal Q&A stream, which we will get into. But at 10 o'clock, after this stream ends, Raid Shadow Legends found the right price to make me do and I'm like, do they know I'm not a gamer? Do they know my audience is not, I don't know. But they looked at my channel and decided they wanted to pay me a really, really unreasonable amount of money to stream Raid Shadow Legends for an hour. And look, folks, anyway. So, I do want to say, here, hang on, check this out. I made this. Where is it? I made this. This is going to be, the game is not up right now, so you can't see the game. Hang on, it's going to look something like this. That's where the game is going to be. And if you would like to help me out, you can scan this QR code and then have you noticed that, like, look at I have no people who've hit level 20. I have 4 people who've used my download code. So I'm not at the top of the Raid Shadow Legends streamers yet. I'm probably not gonna get there. I don't know. Anyway, that's gonna be I'm gonna listen. There's a kind of person who would do it ironically. I'm not that person. If you pay me $1,000, that's what they paid me. Well, they haven't paid me yet. If you pay me $1,000, I hope there's not an NDA in the contract somewhere that I'm not allowed to say that. Oh well, I'm boned. If you pay me $1,000 to play your video game for an hour, I will do it with all of my heart. I mean, there are things that I wouldn't do for money. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. There are things that I wouldn't do for money, things I have an ethical objection to. But this isn't one of them. So, anyway. Okay, so but let's get on with what you're really here for, and it's not to hear me talk about my weekend or outrage. Oh, I meant to say what I was going to say is I didn't stream this weekend because for the first time since our son was born, like 3 years ago, Issa went on a extended weekend with her girlfriends. I don't know what they did. She said they were just going to, go to a hotel somewhere, and I assume that they just read books. I don't know. And I had the kids for like 4 straight days, all by myself. And it was fine. So that's why I didn't stream on Sunday, because I had the kids. But I appreciate my wife thanks you. My wife thanks you for the time. Okay, let's get on with the stream. And in case this is your first stream, what we do is we answer questions about FPV, the greatest hobby in the world. I'm going to be taking your questions here in the chat. You can ask a question in the chat, but I may not see it because the chat goes by pretty quick. If you want to make sure I see your question, hit this $ right down here, leave a super chat, and I will be reading those super chats. Here's one now. Simon, I will be reading this message here. I will read it. I didn't read it yet, but I will read it. a little later in the stream. And of course, these beautiful people on the right side of my screen. This is my Discord server, and these are my patrons. And you might think, well, you know, the patrons are so supporting. Why do you even need to do a Raid Shadow Legends stream? And I've thought that way. But I mean, I just really couldn't live with myself if I said no to that much money. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I have a friend, and she said, look, I make $15 an hour working at Target. And I hate it. She said, you have to take that money. She said, if you turn that down. Okay. Thank you, patrons. Yeah, how the hell does Raid have so much money? I don't know. Because honestly, they are not going to get enough subscribers off of my stream to make it worth paying me this much. But I don't care. That's their business, not mine. Okay. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, chat. Let's get on with the stream. Some people have noticed. I left this here on purpose. It's not a coincidence. I did that on purpose. Oh, what's this? Whoa, what's this? What's this? Oh, it does exist, doesn't it? This is the goggle. This is the Fat Shark Dominator HD / Walk Snail Avatar goggle. I can't call it the Dominator HD. The Dominator HD already released. That goggle with that exact name already exists. I'm going to just call it the Fat Shark Avatar. Fat Shark will probably hate me for that. And I have been told that I am allowed to show them on stream and social media, and I am allowed to acknowledge that they exist, but I am not allowed to tell you anything about them until the release day. And I can't tell you when the release day is, but I can tell you that I spent all day today let me show you something. This video, I got an outline. I made a list of things I wanted to make sure I cover, because sometimes I do a big video like this and I leave some key point out. I got a list, and I'm checking it off the list. And if you know me, you know I don't do anything early. I do everything at the last possible minute. So, I'm not saying when the release date is, but I am saying you could probably guess it's not 3 weeks from now. They exist. I've flown them. I wonder if I'm allowed to show you flight. I probably shouldn't show you flight footage. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to risk pissing somebody. I mean, Rotor Riot has posted. Drew has posted flight footage. Has he? I'm not going to do that. Hey, Phantom FPV. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Crunked is here. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to save it. But I will show you this. Here's what I'll show you. Look at this. Footage. This is what I'm up to so far. I don't think I'm revealing any spoilers here. This is so far what I've recorded for the video. So, yeah. It's going to be a big one. Alrighty. Kyle McMullen says the release day is the 29th. He says UK stores have posted they have stock but won't ship until the release, which is the 29th. Quad Doc, do they go to 1200 milliwatts? I can tell you this. I can tell you that Walk Snail posted on Facebook sometime back that there would be a 1200 milliwatt mod for them. I can't tell you whether that has panned out until the release day. Anyway. Bubby posted footage of the Avatar? Okay, I'm not going to post footage. I don't want to risk. What's in the notes? What did I leak in the notes? Uh-oh. The release day isn't in the notes, that's for sure. There's a 1200 milliwatt mod? It just says 1200 milliwatts suggested by Walk Snail. Sorry, the notes don't give it away. I'll tell you what. It's good. It's an exciting time to be alive in the FPV world, that's for sure. It sure is exciting. I'm really, really looking forward to being able to share them with you soon. Okay, let's take some more questions. Have I taken a single question yet? I don't actually even think I have. I've just been babbling. Well, we're 20 minutes into the stream. I'm sure it'll be fine. It was in the DVR footage list. 1200 milliwatt hack. Oh. Okay. Christopher FPV. Let's take a question. Christopher FPV. How long can I go by saying let's take a question but not actually taking it? Can you tell me if I can damage my equipment using 1200 milliwatts on DJI? No. Nope. When that 1200 milliwatt mod first came out, we thought maybe it would cause the unit to overheat or something like that. That hasn't panned out in the real world. Hang on a second. That hasn't panned out in the real world. There you go. I thought my light was messed up. Apparently it's not. The background is usually more purple than that. It's fine. Nothing's going to break. The DJI Air unit has overheat protection. It'll be fine. There is essentially no downside I can think of to doing the 1200 milliwatt mod on DJI. So it's all good there. Aber the Ham says, I'm looking forward to the liquidation wave of HDO and Sky Zones that'll take place when the new goggles roll out. That's a tough one. Like, let's for the sake of not spoiling the release, let's just pretend that these are perfect and live up to everybody's desires. They have ultra good latency, great range and penetration, no complaints whatsoever. In that case, how many people would be ditching analog for them? How many people are still flying analog? Let me put it this way. If you're a person who has $600 sitting around to buy a new set of Fat Shark goggles, why haven't you already bought a set of DJI goggles? Most people who have that kind of money have already gone DJI, and they're not flying analog. So the idea that the release of these Fat Shark goggles is going to cause a big influx of used Sky Zones and so forth. Now, there are some people out there who are like, I got the money, but I'm not giving DJI a penny. Well, I hate DJI. Oh, clip that. I don't hate DJI. But some people do. And those people might say, okay, I'm going to buy these and I'm going to offload my analog quads, but yeah. Another thing that has been publicly said before, so I'm happy to say it again, is they don't have any analog capability. No AV input, no analog module, no built-in analog receiver. They are digital only, which means that if you have analog goggles today and you have any analog quads, tiny whoops, whatever, toothpicks, then you're going to be keeping your analog goggles for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, analog still got some hope. Let's see. Now, I will say this. I haven't opened them up yet. I want to finish. I don't want to break them and not be able to finish the review. But I promise you, as soon as I finish this review, the very first thing I'm going to do is rip them open, and I'm going to get on the phone with Junis or one of the other FPV WTF or devs, the margarine devs, whoever, and we're going to freaking look at this and we're going to figure out what chip is in it. But I haven't done it yet. So, John Goblin asks, did Walksnail say something about a module for analog goggles? I didn't hear that. I'm not sure how that would work. They don't have an HDMI input. Okay. Do you think they'll make a goggle module? Asks Sean Connolly. I thought I saw someone from either Walksnail or Caddx insinuating that they could make a module with an HDMI output that you could use with other goggles. If they did that, I think Fat Shark would be pissed. Because, of course, Fat Shark's whole deal is selling goggles. But, I mean, Walksnail seems like they are willing to do things. Walksnail doesn't seem like they are completely in lockstep with Fat Shark as a company. So I wouldn't assume that they would not... I wouldn't be surprised to learn that Walksnail would do something that was good for Walksnail if it turned out to be bad for Fat Shark. That wouldn't shock me. Anyway. Okay, folks, we're 20 minutes into the stream, and I certainly more than time to get some of these super chats out of the way. I'm going to read some super chats. And the first one is from Simon. Thank you for 10 New Zealand dollars. Thanks for all the helpful videos over the years. BeepTube, thank you for $10. BeepTube just says, money. Arclamp, thank you for 10 Australian dollars. He says, I'm a fellow ham operator, and I'm just getting into 5.8 gigahertz, and I've bought one of the Eachine screens. It's on its way. Is it a good choice or not? It's not for FPV flying, just for RF experimentation. So, Arclamp, those Eachine screens are handy, but at the same time, they don't have great range. They don't have great reception. So... I'm not sure I would, I mean, just like I love using them for setting up my quads on the bench, and I love using them when I just quickly need to check video. But if you're doing any kind of like stuff that depends on the strength of the signal, it's not a good choice. Ramus V, or Ramus the Fifth. Thank you for a $2 super chat. What brand of solder and flux do you use? You can find that information on my website, which is fpvknowitall.com, and we'll go to the materials and supplies section, and here under solder, I like Kester 6337 rosin core solder. And for flux, I use the SRA solder. Well, this one isn't SRA solder. This is Chemtronics. That's interesting. I think I use SRA. Wonder why I'm linking to Flextronics on my website. I'm sure Flextronics is fine too. I like the SRA solder and flux pen. No clean solder. That's the key. No clean is what you want. You don't want to have to be cleaning that stuff off afterwards. You can if you like. Those are the two that I use. But the Kester solder Kester is not the only good solder out there in the world, but it is a very good solder. That's what happened. Hold on. Yeah, I know what happened. I knew that light wasn't as bright as it should be. Hold on. There we go. Still not that bright. That's weird. Well, anyway. My light wasn't plugged in and the battery died. Sorry. Can't stream without a big purple background. Let's see here. Pez1343, thank you for a $5 super chat. Do they make a sealed FPV motor? I fly a couple bandos that have magnetic rust sand. Whenever I go down, it trashes all the motors. I have heard of that. I can't remember who made it. Was it Engineer X? That's what my brain is telling me. Engineer X. Oh my God, I can't believe I remembered this. If you ask me what my kid's birthday is, I have to think for a second. But I just pulled this freaking motor out of my butt. This is not a fully sealed motor. I swear Engineer X did a fully sealed... Did he do a fully sealed motor? This one's not sealed at all. Maybe it wasn't Engineer X who made the sealed motor. Oh, man. I swear I saw a sealed motor once upon a time. I guess the answer is no. I swear I've seen a sealed motor before. I mean, heat buildup is the issue. Is this sealed? No. I don't see how you could possibly seal the motor. Because if you think about it, the bell has to spin. It could be an in-runner motor. It could be an in-runner motor where the axle spins but the bell doesn't. And then somehow you'd have to seal the axle or the shaft. I don't think so. I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. I think you just have to not crash, man. Just not crash. I guess an in-runner motor kind of would be sealed sort of on its own. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's the worst. Crasher for FPV, got you. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Marcel off-axis FPV, thanks for $5 Canadian. It would be great if somebody could make a video on making the most out of TBS Crossfire and Unify VTX using the power backup and so forth. Yeah, good point, Marcel. It's possible. So TBS Crossfire has the ability to have an auxiliary battery power the receiver. So if your main battery dies, the receiver keeps working. It's just not something that's interesting to me. Although, to be fair, waterproofing quads was not that interesting to me. And then I crashed into my pool. And then I was like, oh, I guess it's time for me to make a video about waterproofing quads. I mean, how's that doing? Let's see here. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Plus 32 subs, 25,000 views. I mean, that's respectable. That video did pretty good. $120 revenue off that silly little video. It's weird. It's weird what gets popular and what doesn't. How about this fire video? I mean, that's doing great. Yeah, see? The fire video made just about the same amount of money. Was much more work. It's getting more views, though. It's nice. This one's going to be, you could tell this one's going to be a keeper. You notice how the curve hasn't really leveled off? It's still going up. That's going to be a good video. That's going to be all right. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to make a video about that. It's just not that interesting. Now, Marcel off-axis FPV says, what about using Crossfire to adjust the VTX? I have that, Marcel. I have that video. That one I have, Marcel. That is this video, TBS My VTX. However,
if you have TBS Crossfire.
Oh my gosh, turn that down. So you want this video or the TBS 69 video has instructions on how to do that.
Those are pretty freaking cool.
I do have, yeah. So this is where you want to be, Marcel, right here. TBS My VTX function for managing band and channel. That's what you're asking about. So, as usual, I made the video, but I buried it in another video somewhere where no one would ever find it. That's the key, is to make content that no one can find. And what happens then is people ask, hey, why don't you make this video? And you can speak it all huffy and self-righteous. I did make that video. I made it 2 years ago. No one knows how to search. And then, you could go feel like you're a better person. I don't know. What good is powering your receiver if your motors don't have power? Aerobrat asks. Aerobrat, the full-size Crossfire receiver has some kind of a ping system where it can send out like a 400 megahertz ping. So you can triangulate where your quad went down based on this receiver. And that's why they want the receiver to stay powered up after the crash. Unmanned Sky, thank you for a $10 super chat. Just started using a barometer. Does soft foam between the top plate and the barometer cause issues with the gyro? No, not at all. I mean, I guess in theory the foam could transmit vibration between the top plate and the gyro. I don't think that's very likely. I think you're going to be all right there. No One FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. I intend to acquire a 360-degree invisible drone soon, and I have seen a few. What would be your recommendation? So I'm not a great person to ask about this. I want to say, just off the bat. But I will say that Stan FPV makes one, and I interviewed him and I reviewed it, and I thought it was pretty decent. But there are several others that have come out since Stan FPV released his. Where's his? Here it is. Is that it? There it is. The Cinebird XL. There are several others that have come out since he released his, and I don't know if they're better. Newbie Drone has one. I have heard some criticism of Newbie Drones. I don't know. What's the other one? There's at least one more. Who else makes an invisible 360 frame? If I was to pick one today, I'd pick Stan's because I have used it. It has its quirks, but it's pretty solid and seems to work. There may be better ones out there that I don't know about. Now, the Beta FPV 360-degree one, Nerk reviewed, and it was awful. Nerk reviewed it. It was awful. The invisible, this one here, don't. It's awful. Don't get it. I don't remember the exact details. I remember at the time, Beta FPV wanted to know if I wanted to review it. And I did some research, including looking at Paul Nerkela's review and just my own opinion about it. And I don't remember the details, but there were real showstopper problems with this one. Enough that all I remember is, run far away! So, I'd stay away from that one. That's what I would say. There's a brand new one by Beta FPV. What is it? I mean, is it going to be better? It's not. Is it? Which one is it? It's not the X-Night. What's it called? I should just look on betafpv.com. I mean, surely it's there, right? I don't see it. Well, there you go. The Pavo. Oh, this one. Here we go. Is this better? I mean, it looks better. It looks better. I can already tell it looks better than the X-Night. That could be okay. That's got some potential. Okay, this is not the one that I said that was terrible. What makes a drone invisible? Asks Meat. The drone is designed to be used with a 360 cam, and every 360 cam has a stitch line, which is basically the thickness of the camera itself, and it can't see inside that stitch line, and it basically just melds together. So what you've got is two halves of a sphere with a slice taken out of the middle that 360 cam can't see. And it takes those two halves of a sphere and it kind of blurs them together, so you kind of almost don't notice that the stitch line is there. And an invisible quadcopter is designed to be thin enough to fit within the stitch line of a 360 cam. So if you mount a 360 cam in it, you can't see the quadcopter at all. Here's a great example. This was forwarded to me in the Discord server. Thank you, Nickel FD. This is the Kai FPV invisible drone. Should probably show their website since I'm showing their drone. The Kai FPV invisible drone. And so you can fly the drone wherever you want, and then in post-production, you use your 360 cam. Like so here, do you see how they're swiveling to the right here? The drone is flying straight forward. Yeah, you can see the shadow. Oh, I wish I could rewind this. Well, unfortunately, I can't. There's that one shot where you can see the shadow of the drone. You can see that the camera is pivoting, but the drone isn't. That's the power of this kind of drone. The drone is never in the shot. It's pretty cool, but pretty situational. The pivot-looking robotic is all about your keyframing. You can get decent camera moves if you keyframe carefully. But yeah. One of the challenges is framing up the shots when you can't see where the subject is relative to yourself. So here the drone is going to watch the shadow of the drone as the camera rotates around. You can see the drone is flying straight forward and not pivoting right there. But the camera is pivoting around. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So the Stan FPV is the one I'm familiar with. There may be better out there. This one certainly looks cool. It looks the main thing, the main complaint I have about the Stan FPV is the 3D printed. The way the camera mounts is a little wonky. This one looks like it has a little bit more versatile camera mount. In fact, it looks like it just mounts a standard GoPro mount, which gives you a little more versatility in what camera you use, and that certainly seems good. All right. R-Clamp, thank you for $2 Australian. I do have a 40 dB LNA to stick on if it needs it. Oh, he's out. Oh, yeah. Adding a amplifier to a receiver is not going to help very much, in my opinion. Jam Fan Hobby, thank you for 10,000 COP. Now I got to find out. I'm either really rich right now, or your country has a terrible exchange rate to the dollar, and it's that. Dang. Thank you for 10,000 COP. No disrespect to your currency intended. Oh, and Dino1, thank you for $5. I've been flying the T-Motor Feather, and it's been great, like nothing I've ever flown. How do you think it compares to the Kebab FPV Toothpick? Well, the first thing I would say is that no one in the world can make a better toothpick than Kebab. And anyone who says they can is a liar and a charlatan. Now, having got my constitutional obligation out of the way, let's take a look at this quadcopter. The T-Motor Feather. Can I just say, this is a terrible name for your website. Okay? Now, this is a family-friendly stream, so if you don't understand the reference, I'm not going to elaborate. But I don't think you should name your website this. Okay, moving on. The T-Motor Feather. 1S F411, 3-inch racing drone. 400 milliwatt VTX is good. 31 grams without battery is respectable. Kebab says that the ideal weight for a toothpick is around, I think it's around 75 grams. Maybe up to as much as 100. I think that's going to come in close to that 75 gram mark. Maybe a little less, depending on what battery it uses. The 1102 motors, a lot of people running Toothpicks nowadays are running 12 or 13 millimeter motors. So some people would say that those are small motors. Other people would say that the lighter weight is as beneficial. What's a 600 milliamp hour 1S XT30? What's that weigh? Let me just get a ballpark weight for this battery. This is the kind of battery that I would expect to use. Oh, wait, no. Dead. It's dead to me. It ships with a pH connector. Get the F out of here. T-Motor, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Don't sell a Toothpick. Does it have 3-inch props? Does it have 3-inch props? Please tell me this is a 2.5-inch prop. I mean, that's still no excuse. Why does it not? 3024. Okay, no. Get the F out of here, T-Motor. What's wrong with you? You don't sell a Toothpick with a pH 2.0 connector. That's it. That's the very first thing I would do if I owned this, is cut that connector off and replace it with an XT30. 1S batteries are terrible. And so you need all the help you can get. On a 3-inch, you can absolutely afford the weight of an XT30. How, T-Motor, did you get this that wrong? Is it me? Am I overreacting here? So, like, this is the kind of battery you would use on a 1S Toothpick. 600 milliamp hour 1S with an XT30. There is Tiny Whoops can barely perform on pH 2.0 connectors, but they can. You got a 3-inch Toothpick, you absolutely need an XT30. Give me a break. What's the weight? 15 grams. So that's the other interesting thing. I think 15 grams, we're going to be at an all-up weight of 40, 31, 41, 47, 47-ish grams with the battery. That's really light for a Toothpick. So it almost feels like they're coming in at like the sub-Toothpick category. Maybe that's why they have a pH 2.0 connector. Maybe they want it to be run off like a 450 1S with a pH, and it's more like a Tiny Whoop. I don't know. I think the other thing is they sell it as an indoor 3-inch. There's no indoors. If you're flying open props indoors, you're asking for trouble. I mean, you don't care about your walls and your furniture. So this is a weird one. It's a weird one. Because it's down in the 50 gram weight range, whereas like canonically 3-inch Toothpicks want to be closer to 75, maybe 80, maybe as much as 100 grams if it's like a DJI or something. But at the 50 gram weight, it's going to be super light and not really flingy. It's going to be using shitty battery connector, but it's light, so it's not going to pull too much power. That does explain the 11 millimeter motors, I guess. But then you're not going to fly it indoors. You're taking your life into your hands if you fly open props indoors. People do it, obviously. I don't know. It's a weird one. That's a weird one. That's a weird one. I'm not sure I understand it. It feels like whoever made this... I'm always hesitant because, like, a lot of the time I see something and I go, this is stupid! Whoever made this was an idiot! And then later it turns out they were actually smart in a way I didn't understand. So whenever I see a new product and I think, this is stupid. What were you thinking? I, like, hesitate and I don't say that out loud. Except I'm kind of saying it. But I acknowledge that maybe T-Motor like came up with a use case I'm not aware of, and it's actually really, really good. But, yeah. There you go. Mike Bergman wants to know, why is it only 7,000 kV if it's 1S? Well, it's 3-inch, right? What's a 3-inch toothpick? What's I don't know 1S kVs off the top of my head, but the Tooth Fairy. Motors. What's like the 13 millimeter motor? The 13 millimeter. Here's the 1S 13 millimeter motor. Oh no, I see. 11,400 kV. Yeah. Why is it that's like half the kV that it should be? Very weird. That's like a 2S motor. So yeah, this whole quad is weird and I don't understand it. Let's just say that. I don't understand why you would want an ultralight open prop toothpick for indoor flying, because open props chop up your walls and tear up your furniture. But okay, maybe you don't care. Maybe you live in a warehouse and you just don't care. But then you have a weird battery connector and weird motors and weird kV, and it all just sort of doesn't add up. Maybe it's amazing, but it doesn't. I probably wouldn't just buy it if I was looking for a new toothpick. Anyway, there you go. Jory thinks you can get away with half the kV if you're half the weight. That could be it, Jory. That could be it. It could be that it's so light that they don't need the extra kV, and the lower kV will help keep the battery life. Will help with the battery life. So maybe the motor kV is excusable. Oh well. Sorry, T-Motor. It probably flies fine. Probably flies fine. Here's the thing. Willpower FPV is right. The poor guy was all stoked about his new quad, and we're all taking a big dump on it. So the first thing I would say is, if you ask on a live stream, I just bought this thing, what do you think of it? I'm going to tell you what I think of it. Now, you bought it. You own it. I hope you enjoy it. It's probably fine. But that's what I think of it. The very first thing I would think about doing, though, is I would put an XT30 on there, and I'd run it off of like a 600 milliamp hour. I mean, what battery is it supposed to run off of? A 450? A 300? Anyway. Alrighty. Continuing with my attempts to read all the super chats. Rayoni Barrios, thank you for a $2 super chat. How much thrust per kilogram does my quad need? P.S. I don't use rosin. Oh, man. Rayoni, I have no idea. A typical thrust to weight ratio for like a racing drone might be 8-to-1. So like you might get 1,200 grams off of, let's be a little more conservative. Let's say 1,000 grams of thrust off of each motor. So 4,000 grams of thrust, and the all-up weight might be 500, so that's 8-to-1. Perfect. Typical thrust-to-weight ratio for a relatively light racing drone might be around 8-to-1. That's The Ace of Spades, thanks for a $5 super chat. Tom, thanks for a $5 super chat. What's your thoughts on the Hoda S6 charger? I like Hoda. Oh, this is that new one. Oh, yes. The Hoda S6 charger. Now, if you watch my channel at all, you know I love the Hoda D6 Duo and the D6 Pro. The S6 continues that tradition, but it is humongous and beefy. It has 400 watt, a built-in power supply that can do 400 watts. That's why it's so chonky compared to the D6 Duo. 400 watts off of its own built-in AC power supply. Massive respect. Most AC-DC chargers can only do like 200 watts. It's a pretty... let's see, what else? One of my Discord members was telling me about this thing. It's got a 45 watt USB-C power supply. So you can run, you know, if you have a soldering iron that runs off USB-C, you could charge some laptops, maybe 45 watts, probably a few laptops. So the thing is, if you don't need 400 watts, this is overkill. And it certainly is pricey. The D6 Pro is around $120. So you're paying like $40 extra. But it's got a lot of features and a lot of power. The 45 watt USB PD. Oop, can't type. I mean, like a 45 watt USB charger alone could be $40. A cheap one could be $15. I mean, you decide. But that 45 watt USB-C charger has some value and helps make up some of that price difference if that's something you're going to use. The Ace of Spades, thanks for another $5. I ended up getting a Baby Ape Pro as my first quad with Express LRS. Awesome. Getting my Zorro tomorrow. That's a pretty good one. It's not too expensive. It flies okay, and some replacement parts are available. ArcLamp, thanks for another $5. ArcLamp wants to argue. That's the best way to make money on the internet, is to get people to argue with you. I would never do that on purpose, but I have noticed it. I use low noise amplifiers all day. It takes a 2 dB SNR up to 15 dB SNR. You just need to know your RF equipment. I use it for satellite receiving normally. So ArcLamp, my obviously you clearly know what you're talking about, but my understanding is that amplifiers are not as good on the receive end because they amplify the noise as well as the signal. Now, if you've got some kind of an amplifier that is like ultra sensitive and it like decodes the signal and then amplifies it and retransmits it, that would increase the signal to noise ratio. But I mean, if you maybe I don't know what kind of amplifier you're talking about. Most amplifiers that I'm aware of, they just amplify the incoming signal, and that means that it increases your signal and your noise equally and doesn't improve the signal to noise ratio. So let's see what I've got wrong about that. Azrael FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Why does everybody put so much flack on the DJI FPV? I get it, it's very atypical and it's not field repairable, but it freestyles well. I love it. Is this going to be the second time in the stream when I shit on something that someone enjoys and is having fun with? No, I won't do it. Man, if you're freestyling it, if you're having a good time, more power to you. I'm never gonna like crap on somebody who's having a good time and not hurting anybody. You know the reasons why the DJI FPV gets flack, though. You listed them in your super chat. Just other people don't have your priorities. It is a fun. I don't think it freestyles well. But that depends on your definition of what freestyle is. You know, if you're having fun, though, that's all that matters. It gets flack because it's heavy, it's not durable, and you can't repair it. So. Richard wants to know, what do the watts do in terms of the charger? Faster charging, Richard. But here's the thing, Richard. You can only charge a battery so fast before you're taking safety risks. So if you've got a battery that the safe charge rate is, say it's 50 watts. Well, it's actually amps. But amps times volts equals watts. So let's say you've got a battery and the safe charge rate... Here, I'll get a calculator out. We'll do some math. because that always makes for a good live stream. I always like to give real numbers when I can. So let's say you've got a battery and it's 1,000 milliamp hours. Now that makes the math too simple. Let's say it's 1,500 milliamp hours. So 1.5 amp hours. And let's say that it is a 6S battery. So let's take times 3 well, what's the... At full charge, it's going to be around... It's going to be 4.2 volts. But it's going to slow down as it gets to the end of its charge. So what's the maximum watts it's going to be charging at? Let's say it's going to be at full speed around 4.0 volts. So, and it's a 6-cell battery. That isn't right at all. No, that's 1.5. Yeah. So that's 36 watts for 1C charge rate. 1.5 amps times 4.0 volts times 6 cells is 36 watts. So a 1C charge rate is 36 watts. Well, that's not very many watts. Let's say you want to be really risky and you're going to charge at a 5C charge rate. Okay, 180 watts. I feel like I've done that math wrong. The 36 watts feels too low. But I did the math twice. And so I think I got it right. Anyway. So at that point, if you've got a 400 watt charger, you're not using it for anything. Let me try the math a different way. Let's say you've got 4.0 times 6 is 24 volts. Yeah, no, that's it. Times 1.5 amps is 36 watts. That's 36 watts is 1C charging. Nope, I've done the math correctly. So if you only ever charge at 1C, which is the safest thing to do, you have absolutely no reason to buy a 400 watt charger. Now, some people would say parallel charging is the answer. When you parallel charge, you add up the capacity of all the batteries. So if a 1C charge rate was 36 watts for this particular battery, and I had 10 of them on a parallel charge board, I would charge at 360 watts. Okay, that's the big reason. The only reason to have a 400 watt charger is, number one, if you parallel charge a lot of batteries at once, or if you have big honking, 5,000 milliamp hour, 10,000, 20,000 milliamp hour batteries for like big helicopters or electric skateboards or whatever. They can get up to 400 watt or more charging. But for typical mini quad batteries, there really isn't any point in having big honking chargers. Charles Garrity, thank you for $5 Canadian. Can I use the camera control pad for servo output? You cannot. Charles, the camera control pad on a flight controller has a capacitor and a resistor to filter the voltage, because the camera control pad is trying to input a digital signal and output something that looks like an analog voltage. And so it doesn't... I've heard of people using the camera control pad for smart audio, which is a low baud rate digital communication, and it was able to get the signal through. I guess theoretically no, but does it have a so if theoretically the resistor and the capacitor weren't screwing you up, the other problem is that you need a dedicated DMA channel and a timer, and I'm not convinced the camera control pad has that. So I would not think that you could use it for servo output, but it can't hurt for you to try it. Can't hurt to try. Arc lamp, back again. Thank you for another $5, my friend. An LNA is a different kind of amplifier. It's a signal amplifier, not a power amplifier. That's what the L in LNA stands for. Is LNA stand for low noise amplifier? It sounds like we're saying the same thing, arc lamp. An LNA. So the problem is that an LNA... I don't know how an LNA would work with an analog video signal. Like, if you have a digital video, let's say you have a digital signal, coming off a satellite. And let's say that the modulation for the signal can be decoded with let's say a 2 dB signal to noise ratio. Fine. So that signal comes in, it's got a 2 dB signal to noise ratio, and the very first thing you do is you feed it into this amplifier, which decodes the signal and then remodulates it at full power. Now you've improved your signal to noise ratio. Great. With an analog video signal, I don't see how that would work. Like, you just take the analog signal and you feed it to the screen and it looks like trash. How do you recover and clean that up and retransmit that? I don't see how that would work. It's not like a digital signal where as long as you can extract the ones and zeros, you can retransmit them perfectly. I don't see how you would do that with an analog signal, but maybe it's possible. Signal to noise ratio is in decibels, Abraham. Decibels is a ratio. It's a unitless ratio. Thank you, Mothcore, for a $20 super chat. Thanks for all the great resources. You made my start into FPV a lot easier than it would have been otherwise. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And I appreciate your donation, Mothcore. I don't know. YouTube has just started doing this. YouTube, take it easy. Take it easy. Look what YouTube is. It's popping up a message while I stream. Now would be a good time to insert an ad. Can you do that? Can you put ads in a live stream? What happens right now if I push this button? Do you guys all watch an ad? I'm kind of curious. I've never done this before. Should we try it? Probably not. Okay, I got it, YouTube. Insert ad. Does it just pause? What do I see while you guys are watching the ad? That's what I don't understand. What do the premium users see? Premium users shouldn't see an ad. All right, here we go. I'm going to insert one ad, and then I'm going to see what happens. Here we go. What's happening? It just said ads inserted at the bottom of the screen. Oh, you know what? It's going to put an ad in the replay. You guys didn't see an ad. It marked an ad for the replay. That's what's happening. When people come back and watch the DVR, they'll get an ad there. I see. You can put ad breaks in. I understand now. I stopped putting ad breaks in my live streams just because it's, I don't know. Oh, wait. Oh, some people are saying they got served an ad. Oh, some of you got ads and some of you didn't. So wait. Does that mean that it interrupted the stream? You guys who got served an ad, are you now 30 seconds behind in the stream? So the premium users didn't get an ad. Ha ha! Now, wait. How can we tell if you guys are now 30 seconds behind? Did you miss 30 seconds of the stream while you were in the ad? Or does it just bring you back in and you know, you just lost you lost part of the stream. Oh my God, that's not okay. Okay. All right. That's not okay. Why would you do that, YouTube? And I don't know how many of you saw the ad or who didn't. Wow. That's kind of effed up. Okay, well, thank you for that experiment. Wait. Richard says my bar was 30 seconds behind. Well, if you... Oh, interesting. I got to look this up. That's interesting. So if I just click this button like 10 times, you guys will slowly get more and more behind. But the... That's funny as shit. Alrighty. Now I know. Thanks for that. Asriel FPV, thanks for a $10 super chat. Thanks for your answer. My Titan comes tomorrow and I'm really wanting to grow as a pilot. I think you're right about the priorities thing. Rural freestyle requires clear video and a big battery. Arc lamp. It doesn't demodulate. All right, arc lamp. I think you're right, but I don't understand it. Angels in Raver. Angel Sin Raver. There we go. Not Angels in Raver. Angel Sin Raver. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Help, my GPS module can't find satellites when the VTX is on. Yeah. So one thing you can do is you can power up the GPS module before you turn the VTX on and let it lock. You could do that by powering your GPS from 3.3 volts. And then when you plug, or from a 5-volt pad that will power up from USB. And what you do is you plug USB in, and you don't power up the VTX, and the GPS powers up. And then once the GPS has lock, usually then you can power up the VTX and it'll keep lock. There's actually a there's a thing from VFly that helps with this. The VFly GPS Mate external power module for GPS. I don't know if it's worth $15 to you, but this thing will power your GPS unit when your quad is unplugged and let the GPS get lock. And that's designed to solve this problem. Mason Nordman. Oh, we are caught up on... We're not quite caught up, but we were caught up on Super Chats. Mason Nordman asks, do I need rapid fire for long-range FPV? Listen, Mason. People did long-range analog FPV before rapid fire existed. So, no one could responsibly say that you need rapid fire for long-range FPV. But in a world where rapid fire exists, you should have it. It's so much better than the older analog modules. TBS Fusion is, in my opinion, as good as rapid fire. So if you want to go the TBS route, go for it. But those two are hands down the best analog modules you can get if you fly analog. And if you're doing long range, you're really doing yourself a disservice by not owning them. So there you go. Sway on FPV says, I'm thinking of getting into RC planes and I want to use this old single ESC, but I want to have ESC braking on it. Can I enable ESC braking on BL Heli 32? Yes, you can. BL Heli 32 has, it's called brake on stop, I think is the option. And that's what you're going to want to use. Bad for Life wants to know. Bad for Life. What are you doing? I've tried 3,300 milliamp hour 6S on 5-inch, and it was insanely heavy, unflyable. You don't say. You don't say, Nicolas Cage face. A good rule. So Bad for Life. A good rule of thumb is, say it with me, chat. You've heard me say it before. That a battery should be about half the dry weight of a quad. So if your quad weighs 400 grams dry, your battery should be about 200 grams, with an all-up weight of about 600 grams. We push that a little bit. Like, you'll see a quad that weighs 750 grams with a GoPro with a 200-gram battery. So the battery may be a little bit less than half the dry weight. But your battery is like 3 times as big as it should be. For a 6S 5-inch, a good battery is between, I would say, 1,000 and 1,250 milliamp hours. How do you define dry weight, asks Dingles. So dry weight is the weight of the quad without the battery. I mean, dry weight originally comes from cars, right? Where the dry weight is the weight of the car without the fluids, including the fuel. Does dry weight of a car mean you also take the oil and the hydraulics fluid out? It suggests that it does, since it's dry weight. I'm not sure about that. But it's all, we're all making this up as we go anyway, so. So I would say the dry weight of the quad is the weight without the battery. Does that include the GoPro? I mean, that's an interesting question. I would say yes. Dry weight is everything without the battery. The entire point of the dry weight terminology is to distinguish between the weight of the battery and the weight of everything else. Spencer FPV says that with a car, dry weight is completely dry. No oil, no hydraulic fluid, no brake fluid, presumably no washer fluid, etc., etc. Fine. Obviously, on a quadcopter, the analogy falls down a little bit. So, on a quadcopter, when I say dry weight, I definitely mean no battery. And probably, if you're flying, the thing is, you don't always fly it with a GoPro. So, dry weight doesn't necessarily include a GoPro. But if we were having a conversation and you said, my battery weighs this, I have this size of battery and my quad's too heavy, and I say, what's your dry weight? That means as you typically fly it. If you typically fly it with a GoPro, I would want you to include the GoPro. Augie103 in the Discord wants to know, when does increasing battery size reduce flight time? Is it possible to calculate that peak point? Augie, I don't think that's a simple calculation, but it is an interesting phenomena. As you go to larger battery, you get longer flight time because a larger battery has more capacity, but you also get more weight. And so that's a non-linear curve. The more battery you add, the more battery weight you have to lug around. Until at a certain point, adding more battery doesn't really help much. I think the actual distinction is when the battery is so heavy that the quadcopter has unacceptable thrust-to-weight ratio, that's when you stop. So if you have a thrust-to-weight ratio of less than, let's say, 2-to-1, or maybe 3-to-1, I think it gets really hard to maneuver the quadcopter acceptably. So let's just think about that. Hold on. So if we take a 5-inch mini quad and a good, a round number is you make it around 1,000 grams of thrust from a motor. You have 4 motors, so you have 4,000 grams of thrust. Now, if you're going for a 3-to-1 thrust-to-weight ratio, that means you could have 1,333 grams. Let's say you take off 500 grams for the quad. That leaves you 833 grams of battery. That's insane. That's 4 typical batteries. I mean, at that point, I think it would get into the air, but it would be basically unflyable. Like, all you could do is really hover it, and that's about it. Okay? So I think that's over the line. What about like a 5-to-1? That's an 800 gram battery. No, sorry, minus 500 grams of quad. That's a 300 gram battery. I mean, that's flyable. So I think maybe somewhere between a 3 and a 4-to-1 thrust to weight ratio is where I would say your battery's too heavy. But the thing is, if the quad can fly, a bigger battery probably seems like it would give you longer flight time You just would fly badly. Interesting question. The other thing is, at a certain point, the motors will be overworked. And you will start to lose motor efficiency because they'll get super hot. At a certain point, you're going to be near full throttle and the motors will just be overworked. And then your flight time definitely will start dropping off. Okay. R-Clamp is linked to R-Clamp. You've linked to this page about low noise amplifiers. I can't help but notice that it seems to agree with me. It says it amplifies a low power signal without significantly degrading its signal to noise ratio. Normal amplifiers introduce additional noise. LNAs minimize the additional noise. In other words, an LNA does not improve the signal to noise ratio. An LNA avoids reducing the signal to noise ratio by minimizing the additional noise that the amplifier injects. But it sounds to me like this is agreeing with me. And it says here, an LNA may supply a power gain of 20 dB while decreasing the SNR by less than 3 dB. In other words, the standard for an LNA is that the SNR goes down, but it only goes down by 3 dB. This seems to be agreeing with me. Your argument that an LNA improves the signal-to-noise ratio is not supported by this Wikipedia page, in my opinion. I mean, it's your source. It's your source. But it doesn't seem to agree with you. I would love to be wrong. I would love to. I mean, I'm eager to learn that my belief about this has been wrong, and there is an amplifier out there that can improve signal-to-noise ratio without demodulating and retransmitting the signal. That would be cool. All right. Mason Nordman wants to know about the Flywoo Explorer long range. It's pretty solid. I mean, you have to know when you buy a 4-inch long range that if you crash it with a big honking battery on it, it's going to break. Like, there's a reason some people prefer to fly 7-inch. But if you're looking for something inexpensive and lightweight, it can get like 20 minutes of flight time. R-Clamp, I'm not debating that amplifiers work. I'm just saying that a receive amplifier, I don't think it can improve the signal-to-noise ratio. So I think what's happening is you have sort of just barely enough signal-to-noise ratio, and there's more loss downstream. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Continuing on with the super chats. Nate Adams, thank you for a $10 super chat. I have an Omegod 250, and when I drop the throttle to the bottom, the front right of the quad dips hard. You can see it in this DVR clip. Alrighty. Let's see here. We don't have sound. We drop the throttle and it yaws to the left and dips. Oh, yeah. So what I see is that the front right of the quad is dipping. So to me, that means that the front right motor or ESC is stuttering or has a problem. Okay, apparently we're going to spend all stream talking about low noise amplifiers. Somebody show me a reference that a low noise amplifier can increase the signal to noise ratio of a signal. That's what you have to show me. All of your other arguments, that's that saying, well, of course they can do that. Okay, prove it. Show me. Show me a reference. I would like to see it. Because think about it. Think about it. If you have, let's say you have 10 dBm of noise coming into the amplifier, and you have 20 dBm of signal coming into the amplifier. How will it distinguish the signal from the noise when it amplifies the signal? When it amplifies, an amplifier takes whatever comes in and boosts it and pumps it out. And it usually introduces more noise in the process. How would it do that? How would it do that? I mean, it's just an example, arc lamp. Whatever the value of the noise floor is. Let's say your noise floor is minus 110 dB. Okay, realistic numbers. Let's say your noise floor is minus 110 dBm and your incoming signal is minus 90 dBm. Okay, so you have 20 dB signal to noise ratio. That minus 110 dBm is coming into the antenna on the amplifier and is going to be amplified when it comes out. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's not Sam agrees with me. Okay. The only time that a receive amplifier seems to me to make sense is if you have you're going from a low noise environment to a high noise environment. So imagine a scenario where on one side of the amplifier, your noise floor is minus 110. And on the other side of the amplifier, your noise floor is minus 80. Your signal comes in at minus 90. On the one side of the amplifier, you have 20 dB signal to noise ratio, but on the other side, you would be at minus 10 dB. At that point, boosting the signal would bring it above the noise floor on the noisy side of the amplifier. That makes sense. Arc lamp, you're not okay. This is gotten out of hand. The LNA cannot pick up the noise floor. How does it distinguish the signal from the noise when it amplifies? Oh man, we are going. We're going. I mean, I fully anticipate that I'm wrong about this, and I just need to be educated. Well, that's what I'm trying to get, is the education about why it works and how it works, because it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, at the end of the day, you just have electromagnetic radiation impinging on an antenna at certain sort of frequencies and powers, and the amplifier doesn't really have any way to tell what's the noise and what's the signal. Right? Okay. That's all about that, I think. Now, arc lamp, we're not going to get on voice and discuss it. Not right now. Not on the live stream. I think that's enough. Show me a reference. Show me a reference. Explain it to me. Augie, that makes sense to me. If you have a cheap SDR that needs a very high RSSI coming in, then an amplifier would boost the signal, giving you more RSSI, but not improving your signal to noise ratio. But your problem there is that you have ample SNR, but you don't have enough RSSI, and the amplifier gives you that RSSI. Oh yeah, what you're saying makes sense to me. Alrighty. Okay, enough. I don't want to spend the whole the whole chat arguing. So the thing is, no one here, I certainly don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and no one else is making any sense either. Everyone's just arguing, and it just doesn't seem like a great use of everyone's time. So once someone can explain to me how an LNA works, and specifically whether an LNA can improve signal-to-noise ratio. You can draw a picture, arc lamp, but it doesn't mean the picture is right. You can draw me whatever picture you want. It doesn't mean the picture is correct. Can an amplifier improve SNR? Paralleling amplifiers improves SNR. Ah! Quora! Quora to the rescue! How can the SNR be improved using an instrumentation amplifier? Common mode rejection. Aha! That's different. That's common mode rejection is noise rejection. That makes sense. I understand that. Oh, yeah, okay. That's a little bit of a different question. How does a preamp improve signal-to-noise ratio? This is kind of the same question we're asking about. A preamp is closer to the source. There you go. So the preamp will boost the signal while the SNR is high. It improves the SNR at the end, but it doesn't improve the SNR from input to output. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I'm spending so much time on this question because I would love to learn that a fundamental belief that I have turns out to be wrong. Even though it's kind of a shitty use of the live stream's time, but there you go. You can improve sensitivity with an external LNA. Whatever. Add gain by connecting an amplifier. You're adding gain. Thermal noise of the system. New noise factor. Oh, there's math here. I'm not gonna be able to go through this math while also on a stream. And it seems like understanding the math is necessary to evaluating this. Okay. Nope, this agrees with me too. Why a good LNA is key to a viable antenna front end. It says, I just said it in the, where did it say it? Here. Although antenna and transmitter and receiver functions, blah, 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 for many RF systems, a dedicated LNA is the best way to boost the received level to a usable value while having minimal impact on SNR. You see? The LNA does not improve the SNR. It only avoids reducing it very much. Yep. I stand by that conclusion. Alrighty. Let's move on. Let's move on. I appreciate your let's see. How's the stream analytics looking? Oh, people are still basically staying tuned in to listen to me try to figure out LNAs. I appreciate that. Let's get back on topic though with some FPV questions. Do you have any alternative spots for my Express LRS receiver? I'm at 50 hertz and whatever the default RSSI means, Betaflight is 43-ish right next to me. Range hasn't been great. I mean, 43 dBm RSSI right next to you is pretty good. If you're not getting the range you want, Synapse, the best thing to do is to switch from an EP2 to an EP1 receiver. That's what you should do. An EP1 receiver with an external antenna. That's the answer. I feel like I should at least... R-Clamp took the time to make this drawing. I feel like we should at least show it. I will do that, R-Clamp, out of respect for your time and effort. And then we are going to move on. R-Clamp says that the blue line is what his LNA can see. And it only amplifies what's above the blue line. But R-Clamp, that would mean that the... I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway. It seems like it makes sense. It only amplifies what's above that line. Like it only kicks in when the signal... But when it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. That's not how any of this works. When it amplifies this... It is also amplifying the noise down here at negative 90 dBm. This drawing is not how RF is. This is a two-dimensional representation of... No. That doesn't add up. Sorry. Anyway, now we're moving on for real. I showed your drawing. It doesn't work like that. My goodness. Carbon Cage FPV asks, is there a reason I can't get my Vistas to go into mass storage mode for the FCC hack? As soon as you plug... The Vista has to be powered up, right? You know that, right? Other than that, I don't understand. Other than that, I don't understand. I don't see why I wouldn't do it. What receiver can I get that will work with an AT9S Pro? Asks Dylan Montgomery. That's a Radio Link. I recommend you get a different radio, but if you're not going to do that, the Radio Link R6 DSM or the the R8. The R8 DSM is the one you want. That's the receiver that I would suggest. There's nothing wrong with your Radio Link, but the problem is that there just isn't a lot of representation of Radio Link in the FPV hobby. So that's the receiver I would recommend. Rayoni Barrios, I believe the 1200 milliwatt hack goes on the goggles, but the FCC hack goes on the VTX. Great Southern, I think. I haven't ever had to do the FCC hack, so I'm not 100% sure. Great Southern FPV, I have a new Acon 60 amp AIO board, and I'm having issues where the gyro going nuts on the yaw axis and seems to course a feed back into the main board, making it flip out. I've tried 6 different soft mounts and they're still getting the same results. Yaw left, then flip out. That feels to me like it's an ESC or motor problem, not a gyro problem. Great Southern. I mean, I just have your description to go off of, but yeah. Nathan Lanchbury. I always stream from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time on Mondays. This is my normal time for like 2 or 3 years. But I'm glad you're here. Sunja27 asks, I have a Race Quads Mach 3 VTX using the provided VTX table with low power disarm is off. Whenever I plug in the battery, my VTX would be on powered 200, and then after around 30 seconds, the motors beep and the power level changes to 25. What could cause this issue? That makes no sense to me. Why do the motors beep? That doesn't make any sense. You guys, no one is debating that a low noise amplifier raises RSSI. No one's debating that. Of course you wouldn't wire your antenna directly to an ADC. The amp, oh my God. No one's debating that. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't. I can't. So Sunshot 27, I can't think of anything that would cause a beep and the power level changes. Like, presumably you're not arming. You guys, let's throw this to the chat. What would cause a beep, the motors to beep, and then the VTX power level changes? I'm stuck on that one. Could it be? I mean, I assume if it was power cycling, he would say. Great Southern FPV, whenever I have problems with a video transmitter and smart audio doing something crazy, the first thing I do is I disable smart audio. Go into the ports tab, turn off smart audio, and then manually set your power with the video transmitter button and see if the problem goes away. And that will confirm to you that the problem is your flight controller. And that's certainly something. Yeah, what's beeping? Can we confirm that the beep is actually coming from the flight controller? You say it sounds like the flight controller restarts. What does the beep sound like? Is it bop bop? What does it sound like? He didn't say he's doing anything with his switches. He just said it beeps and it comes down. Just a single tone. Yeah, that's... I mean, that sounds like it thinks you armed. Did you arm? A partially grounded wire on the video transmitter would reboot the whole quad. Ooh, that's a good one. So I've had a problem. It's not Sam. You get a gold star for that one. I had a problem on one of my recent builds where after about 30 seconds, the video transmitter would change power channel. And what was happening was the Express LRS VTX function was competing with the flight controller's smart audio function. So I would go into the menu and I would change it in the goggle menu to smart audio to race 8. But the Express LRS system still wanted it on race 6. And after a few seconds, it would switch back from race 8 to race 6. If you're using Express LRS, maybe that's related. Great Southern FPV. Acon makes great ESCs. I am hesitant to believe that you've got a bad Acon ESC right out of the gate. But if you've got a quad that, as you're flying, just yaws to the left and death rolls, it doesn't feel like that's usually a gyro problem to me. Josh, the difference between Crossfire and my VTX is that when using Crossfire or my VTX, you usually are not using smart audio. With Crossfire, you wire the video transmitter either to the flight controller or the Crossfire receiver, and only one of them is in charge, unless you wire them both up, which you shouldn't do and typically don't do. But with Express LRS, the receiver tells the flight controller to tell the video transmitter to change its parameters. And I would have thought that the flight controller would also sort of update itself. But in my situation, I would change in the goggle menu to race 8, and then it would spontaneously change back to race 6. And I'd be like, what the F? And I realized when I changed it in the Express LRS Lewis script, it stopped happening. Bailey Josephson. Oh, hang on. Back up. Ramus V has a $5 super chat about low noise amplifiers, which we're not going to read because we're done talking about that. But thank you for your donation. Yes, it's not Sam, you're correct. Go into the Express LRS Lewis script and set all of the VTX administrator stuff to dash, and then the Express LRS will stop trying to change the settings. I don't know why it's beeping, but that does make sense. Bailey Josephson wants to thank you for a $5 super chat. Wants updates on the JBF7 target for iNav. No update on that. The JBF7 V2 hasn't actually even gone into mass production. We did a small batch of about 100 to get feedback, but other than that, we're once we get the final big batch out, we may think about iNav support for it. But for the time being, we are not doing anything about that. Kingbird FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. How to wire the DJI Air unit to a Diatone Mamba Basic MK4 H743. All right. Yeah. I usually don't like to do wiring diagrams on stream, but I think we can do this. Should be pretty easy. Where is... No! I'm using your website! I'm using your website! Why would you do this? You stupid web developers. Never do this. I hate you. I'm using your website. Don't pop up a thing that blocks me from using your website. If you want to give me a rebate, give me a rebate. I don't care. I'm not even shopping. Idiot. Okay. Can I get a wiring diagram? Okay, here we go. So to hook up DJI to this, it'd be nice if they had a built-in DJI plug or something. The DJI is going to need power. There's a 9-volt regulator here. That's probably where I would get power. Let's just check the 3 amp rated. Okay, you're good there. So the red wire goes to 9 volts. The black wire goes to ground. And then we need a TX and an RX. And we'll use TX3 and RX3 for the white and the gray wires. And then if you're using the DJI controller, you're going to want an S-bus input, which probably should be here, RX1. So the yellow wire will go to RX1. And that is how you do it. Caleb Griffey? Thank you for a $10 super chat. I just freestyle for fun, no GoPro, so I fly a Catalyst Machineworks Mofo V2 racing frame. Saves 40 to 70 grams over a traditional frame, and I can carry a bigger battery. Why doesn't anyone else do this? I mean, a lot of people fly freestyle frames because they want to carry a GoPro or another camera. If you're not carrying a camera, then there still might be an argument for choosing a freestyle frame. They're a little bit roomier than racing frames, and sometimes they can be... There are ways in which they can be more durable because they're chunkier and heavier, although racing frames are also obviously pretty durable. But that's a great idea. Racing frames are lighter, and lighter frames usually fly better. I've always enjoyed every racing build I've flown and thought, wow, this could be a freaking great freestyle frame. Except freestyle, often you want a GoPro. All right. We are caught up. It feels like the stream has just flown by. We are caught up on Super Chats, and I am going to wrap up about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes early, because I need to prep for my big Raid Shadow Legends stream, which is coming up at 10 o'clock. So we're going to do about 5 more minutes, and then we will, I'll see you guys at 10 o'clock if you want to come back. Custom Creations wants to know, if a setup is over 250 grams, does it have to get registered? I mean, only if you want it to be legal. I did not miss Nate's question. I was worried there for a minute, Mike Bergman. I got Nate's question. I said that the front right motor was stuttering. He had either a damaged motor or an ESC. Thomas Fanata says, I have a flight controller. He called it a motherboard. Don't do that. What's your thoughts about a flight controller that turns on normally but acts dead once I attach a Crossfire receiver? The receiver has a short circuit that's grounding out the 5-volt rail. Is my first guess. Arc lamp, no beef here, man. Absolutely not. Thank you for 5 more Australian dollars. No beef at all, man. Grown-ups can have disagreements respectfully, and I really do sincerely would be interested if someone could tell me how this works in a way that expanded my knowledge. Anyway. Thank you, Sunshine, for $50. Wow, that is a giant donation. I really, really appreciate it. Sunshine says, I Googled your name for a thumbnail for a home screen app and having no idea your image presence on social networks, plus week quarantine due to COVID scare at the fire department, plus free trial editing software, me being very sorry, but had to share on Patreon Live chat. Thank you for the donation. I'm not sure I followed all that, but I appreciate your donation. Patreon Live chat. Oh, where? Sunshine, are you here? Is Sunshine on the Patreon only chat? Where is it? Are you over here? Are you in the wrong? Three feet FPV. We definitely share a server. What happened to Rely On? Is Rely On out of business? Surely not. No, Rely On battery. Nothing happened to Rely On, as far as I know. Alrighty. Swift69, thanks for a $2 super chat. Sunshine, I'm not sure where your message is. Since you left such a huge super chat, I would hate to miss it. Oh. What's this?
To have a Sharpie enough, pointy enough.
I don't know if we should watch this. Should we watch this? I should scan it. What is this?
Get me a paper clip. You know what?
Okay, I don't know about this. We're gonna let that slide. Okay, guys, we are going to wrap up. I will see you if you want to watch me play Raid Shadow Legends in exchange for getting paid money. I'll try to make it entertaining. I've never done a gaming stream like this before. Azrael FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. I watch people fly sometimes if they send me clips, but you should go ahead and send the clip and then I'll check it out. I will see you guys in about 10 minutes when we'll start this raid stream up. I'm gonna go get a refill of my drink, and we'll stream for another little bit, but we're gonna call this one right now. And Adam Rupsis, I won't take any offense at that. Oh no, Adam, I won't take any offense at you know what, Adam, you're right. There are lots of people in the world who are better to give you advice about flying than me, by which you mean they're better pilots than me. let's see if they... Go ahead, ask them. Ask them. Let's see if they answer your message. Ooh. Psst. I mean, they might. Some of them do. Anyway. Goodness gracious. What was he trying to ask me? I didn't even see his question. Azrael FPV, where are you? Oh. Oh my God, Mike, who said that? What a shitty thing, Adam. What a shitty thing to say. He just wants me to look at his flying and tell him what I think. That's all he wants. He's just like, hey, bro, I'm a fan. Will you look at my flying? He's not like he's saying, hey, I'm position 75 on the global leaderboard and I want to get up to position 25. Can you help me? I'd be like, I'm not the guy to ask, okay? Well, you got to shit on me and shit on him. Wow. Okay. Mike Bergman, you are the single most common commenter on my live streams. YouTube told me that today. So, God forbid, every time I think of a commenter, it's your name. Okay, Adam, if that... I don't know what you were trying to say, but if you're saying it came out wrong, I accept. Jeez. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it. I'm going to stop before I get myself in more trouble. I'll see you guys at 10 for the Shadow Legends stream. Later, everybody.